You recently have decided to move and start your own thing in some capacity, which is why you're even more fit on the show, because now you're actually jumping into entrepreneurship.
Actually, you were one of the people that encouraged me.
I was
and that is a legitimate story. We had this conversation about 6-8 months. You're like, you ever thought about doing your own? I was like, no shot, bro. 8 months later, I'm like, I've taken the leap, baby.
I'm proud of you,
like,
dude.
I texted you. I said, I'm leaving. I'm done.
So if everything goes to poop, it is my fault.
Still its fault.
Okay, that's fine.
I think it'll work out.
No, I think after talking to you, you have been in the industry for a while. You've done very well in the industry. You've kind of shot up the corporate ladder, so to speak. And now it's like, what's next? And I think that was the question you were always asking. Is like, I don't know. I feel like there's a ceiling here.
Right. Yep.
There's not a ceiling here.
Right.
And obviously, being an entrepreneur myself, it's like, look, the floor is also way lower here.
Right.
But the ceiling is also way higher. So honestly, I think today I'm just really excited to learn about being a podcast creator myself. I'm excited for us to talk about like YouTube.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about whatever you want. We can talk about what your aspirations are, what you're doing, whatever you want to do. So I think where the first question I have is, what makes a YouTube channel special? Yeah. And then we see all the time, I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
And then it falls apart.
Yep.
Like, what's the differentiate factor for those that have made it in your experience? Even brands of like, whatever. What's
100%.
If you could we could start there and then.
Yeah. So I was doing some quick math while I was driving in for this podcast. I was like, why am I talking about YouTube? Because there's bigger names out there who've gained a lot more traction than I have. Although I will say, like, I'm starting to get there. Not that it's a popularity thing, but like, it's becoming known that like I do have a general idea of how things work. And the reason is I was just doing rough math for the last 2 years. In the last 2 years alone, I'm not even playing, with over about 3.5 billion views across the channels I've worked on. Now, I'll acknowledge that like, NBC, AGT alone, it's about 1.2. But with Warner Brothers across the different channels was 1.3 billion. And then there's a lot of other. So all I'm saying is there's a lot of data to speak to the things I'm saying, in case you're wondering, like, why listen to him? Because I'm a big believer that there's a lot of people who say they know what they're doing, and they're just not actually able to do it. So you go back to the question of starting a YouTube channel, what makes it work, what makes it doesn't. So this is going to be a cookie cutter, because it is true. You have to keep doing it. If you stop, you're probably not, like, you will not see virality immediately. Some people do get lucky. Most people who succeed, it took time, right? Mr. Beast's first Minecraft videos, right? NBC was in over 1 million subscribers when I joined their venture. NBC, let me just repeat that, was not over 1 million subscribers. So it's not even just recognition of name. It's how you're going about it and how consistently you're doing it. And then I know I'll acknowledge what a lot of people don't realize is when more successful people start new YouTube channels and it feels like that they got ahead of, say, maybe where you're at right now. And that's not a slight. There is some paid media behind the scenes. There's a little bit more of an aggressive distribution. But what makes a successful YouTube channel, truly, is you're just going to keep doing it. You're going to have to refine it. And then this is where I get in the weeds, is you also have to consider the actual market viability of how much viewership is really there to be gained and what is your competition. Because the challenge of, for example, I have dabbled in movie reviews and reactions. And I actually saw, I told you, I had one video that went viral, 500,000 views, monetized like that. But the reality of that is you kind of need that to happen because there's a great amount of competition there. Yeah. Now, if you stand the test of time, you will. I really believe this, that if you stand the test of time, and I'll get to the next layer here, and you're consistent, you have a chance to actually make it. The second element, which I've written on LinkedIn, is you can consistently suck at something. Mm-hmm. Right? We've all had that guy at basketball, bless his heart. It shows up every time, and he blows every time. Because he's not actually actively doing. Now, in reality is if you play more, you'll probably get a little bit better. But if you're not intentional about what you're trying to get better at, you can do 100 reps of something very poorly. Same with working out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People are like, I hit the gym every day. And then you go see what they're doing. I'm like, well, you're on the treadmill for 30 minutes and you're curling backwards. You're not getting better.
Right.
So same with YouTube. So I've worked with brands and I've worked with creators. Okay, so I've worked with the whole gambit. NBC, guy who does fart videos, right? I've seen it all. And the differentiator is it's consistency, but also like, are you intentionally improving every step of the way? And if you can't say what you're improving, you're not improving. That's just the truth. Because I say, oh, we're trying to get better every video. How? Oh, well, we're higher quality, different little edit. I'm like, no. That's all ambiguous. Very hyper-focused on what it is, incrementally, over time. And I just promise you, the truth of consistency versus valuable consistency is valuable inputs will lead to a better result. Consistently outputting doesn't mean you've gotten better. And there's a lot of people who work hard. Like, you got guys who work shift work 12 hours a day. You got people who are, I'm always posting on Instagram. But there's no thought about where it's going, why you're doing it. Like, that perseverance has no tangible, actual improvement. It's typically where it falls apart.